Hello?
I never expected to end up in Millbrook, a small town in the Appalachian Mountains. But when your past becomes a threat, sometimes disappearing is the only choice. It started with small, strange events, a car that looked too familiar in my mirrors, footsteps that matched my pace in empty lots. Then came the calls at odd hours, silent except for heavy breathing. My ex Nathan couldn't accept our breakup. His first attempts to win me back changed into something dark. Threats, promises of trouble if I tried to leave him. I didn't wait to see if he would act on those words. One night I packed my things and vanished. Now I'm in a new state, trying to build a new life. But my past still looms, and Nathan's reach is longer than I thought. Last week my mother called. Her voice shook as she talked about the vandalism, slashed tires, broken windows. She kept seeing Nathan's SUV driving around their neighborhood. The local police said they needed proof to help. Then my sister reached out. Someone sent a package to her work. The delivery person looked like Nathan. The walls feel like they are closing in. Even here, in what should be my safe place, I can't escape. Yesterday, a letter arrived. No return address, but the handwriting was clear. "I'm getting closer," it said, 3 words that sent chills through me. I'm running out of options, but giving up isn't one of them. I have to outsmart Nathan, no matter what. My survival depends on it. I spend my days working at a local diner, trying to fit in while staying alert. Every customer gets a quick look. Is that Nathan in disguise? Did he send someone to find me? The fear is tiring, but I can't let my guard down. At night, I toss and turn in my rented room above the diner. Sleep is hard to find, filled with nightmares when it does come. I wake up in cold sweats, thinking I heard Nathan's voice outside my window. I've started planning escape routes just in case. There's a bus station 2 towns away. I memorize the schedule. I have an emergency bag packed and hidden, but running again means starting over. How many times can I rebuild my life from nothing? Sometimes I wonder if I should stop running, face Nathan head on. But then I remember the look in his eyes the last time I saw him. The rage, the need to own me, the promise that if he couldn't have me, no one would. I've thought about going to the police here, but what could I say? I have no proof, just a gut feeling and some odd events. They'd probably think I was crazy or seeking attention. So I wait and watch. I jump at shadows and flinch at loud noises. I check every face in the diner and every car that drives by. Is today the day Nathan finds me? Or can I stay one step ahead? The not knowing is the worst part. If I could just see him coming, I could prepare. But Nathan was always unpredictable. That's what made him dangerous. I find myself studying the people around me, the diner owner who is gruff but kind, the talkative regulars, the quiet guy who comes in every day for coffee. Could I trust any of them if things went wrong? Or would they lead Nathan right to me? As the days pass, my nerves wear thin. I catch myself making mistakes at work and zoning out in conversations. The owner has started looking at me with concern. I know I need to pull it together, but the stress is wearing me down. Last night I thought I saw Nathan's face in the crowd at the local supermarket. My heart nearly stopped. I dropped my cart and ran back to my room, locking the door and pushing furniture against it. It took hours for my hands to stop shaking. This morning I found a note slipped under my door. Almost there, it said. The same handwriting as before. He's getting closer. I can feel it. The question now isn't if Nathan will find me, but when, and what I will do when he does. I won't be a victim again. Whatever happens next, I'll be ready. Nathan may think he's the hunter, but he has no idea what I can do when cornered. This game of cat and mouse is about to change. The city I once loved now feels like a prison. Every street corner, every storefront window, potential hiding spots for the man who won't leave me alone. It started at my local diner. He seemed friendly at first, just another regular grabbing a coffee, but his eyes followed me too closely, his smile a bit too eager. I brushed it off, even when he asked me out. I told him about my partner, hoping he'd back off. He didn't. Suddenly, he was everywhere. The grocery store, the park, even lurking outside my apartment building. At first, I tried to convince myself it was all in my head, but the feeling of being watched grew stronger each day. Last week, things escalated. My partner and I were enjoying a rare moment of peace at the park when I spotted him in the distance. My blood ran cold. That night, a message appeared on my phone from an unknown number. It contained a video of us at the park, along with chilling words about how I belonged with him instead. I reported and blocked the account, but more messages kept coming. Different numbers, different angles, all showing he was always watching. Now I barely leave my apartment. When I do, every shadow makes me jump. Every passing car a potential threat. My partner tries to stay strong, but I can see the fear in his eyes too. We've talked about moving, about going to the police, but what if that only makes him angrier? What if he follows us? The walls feel like they're closing in. I jump at every noise, flinch at every notification on my phone. Sleep is a distant memory. I keep wondering, how did this happen? How did one man manage to steal my entire sense of safety? I don't know what to do next, but I know I can't keep living like this. Always looking over my shoulder, always afraid. Something has to change. I just hope I find a solution before it's too late. I never thought my life would turn into a nightmare. Growing up in Lakewood Hills, I had everything a kid could want. My parents were wealthy, and we lived in a fancy house with a big yard. I went to the best school and never had to worry about anything. One day, my family went to the Pinecrest Country Club for dinner. It was raining, so we used the valet service. I smiled at the valet as he took our keys. That small gesture changed my life forever. A few weeks later, I went to my first real party at my friend's house. There were boys and alcohol. I thought I was being sneaky, but someone knew what I'd done. My mom got a weird message online about my behavior. It had my full name, which was creepy. I got in trouble and had to babysit for our neighbors as punishment. While babysitting, strange things started happening. Someone knocked on the front door late at night. I didn't answer, but then they tried the back door too. I was terrified and called my mom. Nothing bad happened that night, but it was just the beginning. More messages came to my mom about my secret bad behavior. Some of it was true, some wasn't. My parents called the police, worried someone was watching me. I felt scared all the time, always looking over my shoulder. Things got worse when we came home one day to find our front door open. The police searched our house and my room was a mess. My stuff was missing. My school ID, a picture of my boyfriend, my laptop, and even my new bra. I was terrified and confused. Why was this happening to me? The police took us to a friend's house for safety. They told us to call anytime something weird happened. I couldn't relax anymore, always feeling like someone was watching me. Then my boyfriend said someone followed him at the mall. We gave the police a description, hoping it would help catch the stalker. But things only got scarier. One night, my family had dinner with my boyfriend's family. Us kids went for a walk as it got dark. We were almost home when we heard noises in the bushes. It wasn't an animal. It had to be a person. We called the police and our parents, warning them to stay inside. When the police came, everything happened so fast. A man ran out of the bushes, and the police caught him. He had a knife. I couldn't stop crying, realizing how close we'd been to danger. Later, we learned the truth. The stalker was the valet from the country club. He'd made a copy of our house key and had been watching us for months. He thought he was in love with me and wanted to save me from my life. He didn't like my boyfriend or my parents. His plan was to kill them all. I couldn't believe how my whole life had changed because of one smile to a stranger. We moved far away after that, but I still have nightmares. I'm always looking over my shoulder, wondering if someone is watching me. Every noise at night makes me jump. I don't trust anyone new I meet. My parents tried to help me feel safe again, but it's hard. We got a security system and changed all our routines. I stopped going to parties and barely leave the house anymore. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if we never went to that country club, or if I hadn't smiled at the valet. Would my life still be normal? Would I be able to sleep at night without checking all the locks twice? The Stalker is locked up now, but I still feel trapped by fear and memories of those terrifying months. I know I should feel safe, but I don't think I ever will again. Every day is a struggle to act normal when inside I'm always scared. I try to remind myself that it's over, that I'm safe now. But then I hear a noise or see a shadow, and the fear comes rushing back. Will I ever be able to trust the world again? Only time will tell. For now, I take it one day at a time, hoping that someday I'll feel like myself again. The cards started arriving on my 18th birthday. At first, I thought nothing of them, just another gift, I assumed. But as the years went by, the messages grew stranger, more personal. They knew things about me no one should. I'm Lena, and this is my story of obsession and fear. The first card seemed innocent enough, a generic happy birthday with a note about a phone I'd been eyeing. I brushed it off, thinking it was from a friend or relative who'd overheard me talking about it. But then they kept coming, every year without fail. The sender always signed them, Love Y. They mentioned things only someone who watched me closely would know. My daily routines, my favorite coffee shop, even the color of my new curtains. My mom worried at first, but nothing bad ever happened. The police couldn't trace the cards. After a while, it just became a weird part of my life. I even started looking forward to them, wondering what Y would say next. I had my theories about who sent them. Maybe it was my long-lost father, reaching out in his own strange way. Or perhaps a secret admirer too shy to reveal themselves. My best friend Zoe insisted it was a stalker, biding their time before striking. She even planted a fake threatening note once to scare me, but I saw right through it. Life went on, and I mostly forgot about the cards between birthdays. I moved out, got a job, started dating. That's when I met Eli. He was charming, poetic, always saying the sweetest things. I fell hard and fast. We'd been together nearly a year when my birthday rolled around again. Eli was with me when I opened that year's card. His reaction shocked me. He turned pale, then angry. The card warned me about Eli, saying he'd hurt me if I didn't leave. Suddenly, Eli was a different person. He accused me of cheating, demanded to know who Y was. I tried to explain about the years of cards, but he wouldn't listen. That night, I saw a side of him I never knew existed. The next few weeks were tense. Eli became possessive, checking my phone, questioning my every move. He even hired a private investigator to look into my past. When he found my father's death certificate proving he couldn't be the sender, Eli felt vindicated, but I felt my world crumbling. I'd always held on to hope that the cards were from my dad. Now that hope was gone, replaced by the chilling realization that a stranger had been watching me for years. Eli used this to tighten his control. He said I needed him to protect me, that no one else would want me. Slowly, my life shrank. Eli convinced me to quit my job, saying it wasn't safe. He monitored my calls and messages. If I went out, he insisted on coming along. When I protested, he'd remind me of the potential danger lurking out there, the mysterious Y who knew so much about me. I lost touch with friends, stopped talking to family. Eli said they couldn't be trusted. What if one of them was why? Better to stay home, stay safe, stay with him. He was only trying to protect me, he'd say, as his protection became more controlling, more violent. Months passed in a haze of fear and isolation. I barely recognized myself anymore. The vibrant, independent woman I'd been was gone, replaced by a shell who jumped at shadows and flinched at loud noises. As my next birthday approached, I found myself hoping for a card. Not for the message, but for proof that someone out there still remembered me, still cared. When it arrived, Eli intercepted it. He read it, his face twisting with rage, then tore it to shreds before I could see. That night was the worst. Eli's anger exploded, leaving me bruised and terrified. As I lay there, something inside me finally snapped. I realized the real danger wasn't some mysterious card sender. It was the man sleeping beside me. I waited until Eli was asleep, then quietly packed a bag. With shaking hands, I retrieved the torn pieces of the card from the trash. As I pieced it together, my heart raced. There, at the bottom, was an address. In the dark of night, I slipped out of the house that had become my prison. The address led me to a small apartment across town. With trembling fingers, I rang the bell. The door opened, revealing an elderly woman. She looked at me with tears in her eyes and said a name I hadn't heard in years. My grandmother's name. In that moment, I understood. Why wasn't for some mysterious admirer. It was from my grandmother. She pulled me into a hug, apologizing for the secrecy. She explained how my mother had cut ties with her years ago, but she couldn't bear losing touch with me completely. The cards were her way of watching over me from afar. As the sun rose on a new day, I felt a weight lift. The mystery that had defined so much of my life was solved. More importantly, I was free from Eli's control. With my grandmother's help, I could start over, reclaim my life. The road ahead wouldn't be easy. I had healing to do, trust to rebuild. But for the first time in years, I felt hope. No more living in fear, no more letting others control me. It was time to write my own story,